Om. In this video, I want to talk about the number 17/8 because 1 plus 7 equals 8. And also, we're going to be covering a little bit about the 1, the 7, and the 8. So this video will have a little bit of everything in it for those who are born on the 8th day of the month, the 17th, the 26th. There's going to be some information here for you. Those who are born on the 1st, the 10th, the 28th. There's going to be some information here for you. Similarly, people born on the 7th, the 16th, the 25th. There's going to be some information here for you. Also, for people who are born in the 1, 7, or 8 month, and similarly with the year 1, 7, or 8, that creates a digit or life path. So let's talk about the 17. 17, let's start at the very simple and basics. 17 is a number that is driven by the instincts of the 7. So 7 wants to understand. 7 wants to observe. 7 wants to stand outside the box and look in to really understand what's going on. It's a mystic number. It's a number of the mystic. It's a number of truth because 7 understands things. 7 likes to take the world, the complexity, and break it down into small pieces until it understands what's the fundamentalness of it so that it can understand the whole tree, so to speak, from the seed. So 7's a number that pulls energy in, pulls focus from the outside world to look inwards. This is the 7. 7s are also associated with isolation and meditation. So if you remember the character Yoda from Star Wars, he would be like a 7. He's kind of off sitting in the woods. He's kind of just mastering his own craft. He's standing in his understanding. And then Luke Skywalker comes and seeks him out. Yoda's not asserting himself. They have a magnetic pull. Because they have a certain level of understanding within them, it pulls people in who need that understanding to go to their next level, because 7s are designed to figure things out. They're designed to really crack the code and understand how stuff works. And so the key for 7 is to do that so that people will attract it to them. They can get a lot of success with that. So 7's also considered to be the number of the genius. This is a different type of intelligence. All the numbers have different types of intelligence, but 7s are very, very special in that they can really penetrate very, very deep and go down through the conscious mind, the subconscious, and unconscious. So 7 energy is really suited for establishing that tunnel, building those networks so that when they're functioning during the day and they're not in a deep meditation, they still have access to those deeper networks. So that's why it's really good for 7s to do meditation or some sort of spiritual practice. Okay, now this is the energy in 17 that's the directional pressure, means the 7's like the Shiva, the 1's like the Shakti, the power that Shiva is sending out. So 7, just by the staticness of it, it creates a pressure because of this instinct, this memory, and it's pushing out the 1. And 1 is in this context, which is the Shakti of 17, is the initiator. 1s are the starters. They're the take action. They're aggressive. They're assertive. They're confident. They have a high self-esteem. This is all, of course, in balance. Now, on the imbalance side, of course, just like 7s can be very isolated, they can be very cut off from the world, very detached, kind of loner energy, which 7s are meant to be by themselves, and they're more of an introversion type of energy. They can still mix, but they need that time by themselves to recharge and keep themselves centered. The 1 energy, somewhere, can also find itself alone, because there's a saying that you're alone at the top, where the king, he is directing everybody, but he's kind of by himself because he has to maintain the posture and he has to maintain his authority and leadership. And so in an imbalance, 1s can be alone because they're not open to anybody else. So it ties in with how the 1 is designed to function. 1s are designed to create something out of nothing. So they come from the 0. When the 0, the abstract infinity, asserts itself and becomes and penetrates into the space, just like a lingam penetrates into a yoni, that's what the 1 energy is all about. It needs assertion, it needs aggressive, it needs to be confident in order to do that. So 1s take action, they initiate. They're not really finishers, but they're the visionaries. They can see things and they know how to guide this initiation, how to get it started, how to get it moving, how to direct, how to delegate. So this is the 2 energies, the main energies here. And now in this case, the 8, which is 1 plus 7, represents the field of the 3 main things. It's showing the potential balanced effect of these 2. It's showing the potential imbalanced effect of these 2 when they're not in balance. And it's showing the code of balance, how to blend this relationship between the 1 and the 7, with 7 directing and 1 being the Shakti, or the time energy, the space and the time. The time is like the flow of that space. Just like the month is the particular flow of the year. The month is always in context to the year. So it's April of 2025. It's not April by itself. It's always April of what year. Just like it's the same thing with time and space. Time's always relative to space. Okay, so let's talk about this. So what do we have going on here? Let's talk about the balance first. What does this look like in a balanced state? So the outer digit, the Shakti, in balance is bending the knee to the 7. That means the 1's not looking to the outside world to make their decisions and impulse. 1's kind of the impulse, 7's kind of like the instinct. When the 1 is looking out and it's kind of ignoring the 7 behind them, and it's keeping it very unconscious, that's a whole different thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But in this case, the 1's looking at the 7 for direction, and then it goes and does what it needs to do. So what we have here is somebody whose instincts are to understand, to really see between the lines. 7's are really good at seeing things that nobody else can see. They can, like a cat, because 7 is Ketu. Ketu is cat's eye. There's a thing with cats where you can see them and they're looking at an empty space. They can be so entertained just by looking at one space, sitting on the porch all day, because they're seeing so much. 7's can be like this too. They can really penetrate and see the truth of what it is, because 7 is also a number of truth. So when the truth is guiding the assertion, the individual, the initiation, when they're taking action on the truth, this creates the effect of the 8, which in this case is authentic power. 8's a number of power. 8's also karma, aka memory. So in this case, if the person is acting, if the man, the 1, is acting out of truth, the 7, it's allowing itself to understand first and then take action, versus taking action without understanding, which is a different scenario. Then you get the 8. Truth, power, good karma, authority. Somebody who can manage, someone who reaches the top of their position because they know, they understand, and they know how to direct that understanding. They know how to delegate and initiate and inspire that understanding, because 1's also the sun. Sun is radiant. Sun can just walk into a room and shine, and people will organize themselves around the sun, just like the so-called planets supposedly organize themselves around the sun. It's the same kind of concept. Suns are inspiring. Their leadership really comes from their beingness in balance. Their beingness alone will give the direction. People will just look at them like a celebrity. And this is also interesting because 17 is the celebrity number. In other words, statistics have shown that the most common day of birth with celebrities is 17. 17 is considered also the spotlight number. It's very connected, where it's going to be spotlight for better or worse. So I actually know somebody who has a 17, born the 17th day, and this is I've been able to observe them and get some really good insights, which I'll share. 17 is a spotlight. So people in this number will either be comfortable in the spotlight, or they may have to go through, generally speaking, it's not out of the ordinary for them to have to go through lessons around being comfortable in the spotlight. So maybe a little bit of a spotlight allergy. And what is this really, what's going on here with this? Because the 1 is existing in the world of the 7, meaning that the truth is being brought to the identity one way or another. So what happens is when someone is born the 17th and they try to hide something, they try to be, they try to use their power, which is the 8, in a way that's not based on truth. It's not based on integrity. It's not based on inner authority. It's not based on an actual understanding. They get exposed. And people will find, somehow they find a way that people will find out what they're doing and will see through it. Because the 7 is revealing the 1. The 7 is bringing truth to the 1. It's the world of the 7. And so when the 1 tries to hide, the 7 will break it down and it'll be revealed. And then the 8 comes in there as the effect of imbalance, which is guilt, shame, reset. So this is kind of giving you some idea. When the 1 tries to take over from the 7, when the 1's not bowing to the 7, it's trying to follow its impulse to just take control, to initiate, to kind of just be very, very assertive without having the understanding. It creates this bad karma effect, this loop that will loop back into itself and will kind of crush the ego in some way. So this is a general idea. Now, also within this, the 8 is showing, I covered the balanced effect, general balance effect, a general imbalance effect. Now I'm going to talk about the balance code. What's happening here with these two things? So in the number 17, how to balance it is through 8 energy. So in a relationship, when 7 wants to be introverted, it wants to understand, and 1 wants to act on that understanding, wants to initiate. It's showing that it's very, very important that you consider the long term, the 8, that your mentality, your perspective is the long-term ramifications of what you're initiating, lest they become destructive. So don't act on something without wisdom, and don't hold on to wisdom without initiating. You have to think of long-term strategy and bring authority and integrity. Also detachment. So 8 as a number is very, very connected to number 7 as well, because 8 has a subtle 7 inside of it and the way that its instincts are supposed to function. So what 8 is showing is that if the person tries to become egotistical and they become too focused on the outer 8, which is the subtle 8 on the outside of 8, which I can break that down. I'm just going to talk through it because that would require a whole separate lesson. In imbalance, 8 can be too ambitious, too obsessed with power without having the integrity behind it. And they become very, very materialistic as a compensation to cover that they feel vulnerable. Because they don't actually understand, they don't have the wisdom. As a mask to that, they'll become obsessed with power, control, and very, very ambitious, manifesting. The 8 is supposed to actually be very, very detached and cultivate inner wisdom first before, and to blend that. So 8, you see the 2 circles. They're supposed to take the spiritual understanding and bring it down to the material world. There have to be a connection between these two. When this is disconnected, the matter is disconnected from spirit, you get all the bad karma around that. When it's too spiritual and they're not acting, they become very, very, there's a lot of guilt and shame with the 8, because why am I not doing this? And 8 will also go through a lot of tests where, are you sure? This is why 17-8, if they try to do stuff that they're hiding things, and they're trying to act and pretend like they're a leader or somehow in control, when they aren't having the integrity with that. First of all, the 7 is revealing them, because 7 brings truth to things. It breaks things down and it exposes the truth in things. 7 is read between the lines. You can't hide things from 7 energy. Whereas 8 plays in this because 8 has this thing where it has this, are you sure? 8 is the test of integrity. 8 energy tests integrity. So let's say the person think they're this big leader and they think they're this powerful person. 8's going to test that. 8's going to bring scenarios and attract circumstance into their life or magnetize different things to really make sure that that is reality. And what happens is when it's not based on the 7 and 17-8, the 8 crash. This number will come crashing down. They have to kind of go through a little bit of a reset, and it's pushing them. What it's trying to do, because as they say in I think it's the yoga tradition or Indian tradition, there's a saying that the whips of pain is what drives you to God. God here just means the understanding, the truth, the correct perspective, the correct identity. That you're not some little Joe Schmo or Jane Doe, but who you are is the God. Just like actors aren't their roles, they're the actor. There's a distinguishing between I'm the actor and the role. When they become too in the role and they lose themselves, that's a problem. So this is what it is. And so the 17-8 is pushing you to cultivate understanding, to really understand yourself. And when you act from that understanding, a place of understanding versus just acting without that, you become very, very powerful. That's the 8. Very, very powerful person. And if you break this down a little bit further, it's showing that the 8, when it modulates the one in the outer world, it's showing you need to have discipline. When you're before you initiate something, what 17-8 is asking you to do, consider the long-term ramifications. The 8 wants to put a filter on the 1. So you're not just acting, shooting first and ask questions later. You're really considering, what is the long-term ramifications? What's the karma here? It's calling you to be disciplined in how you take action. And on the inside of this number, you have the 8 modulating the instincts of the 7, which is a very, very powerful combination, because 7 and 8 go together like hand and glove in the sequence. 8 comes after 7. So 8's role is in the sequence of numbers, where 7 penetrates, goes down deep, gets the understanding. 8's the number that is like the hand that goes back, pulls the 7 up back through the body, this deep understanding, this root chakra, and pulls it back up. And as it's doing this, it's integrating it piece by piece by piece, brick by brick by brick. So that understanding is being integrated one piece at a time. So the conscious identity at the end of this becomes completely bulletproof. so that they're actually powerful. 8's the number of power, not arbitrary power. 8's real power. Real power comes from that full integration of understanding. There's no gray areas. Every T has been crossed, every I has been dotted. That's 8 energy. And so the inward, this is how this person is really thinking on the inside, their instincts, is to take their understanding, and they're being asked to integrate this at every level of their being. Don't just take their understanding, this understanding, and try to separate it from having to bring it into the world. You have to bring this understanding into the world, into the identity, to achieve real power. So 17-8 is a very, very powerful number. It has a big, big potential for power. It's one of the star numbers as well. I forget the exact, it's the 8-pointed star of Venus, I believe. Very, very powerful number, and you can see in the tarot, it's the number of the star. It's called the star card. It's a number of optimism. It's a number of golden age. It happens just after the 16, which is, 16 is about a destruction of ego. The ego, the false ego, comes crashing down to divine truth or wisdom, which is the 7. And in this card, we're bringing that integration back into the conscious identity that makes the person powerful. So I hope this helps. This gives you some insights on the number 8, the number 7, number 1, and also the 17 as a whole. For people who are born the 17th or know somebody who is, you can start looking out for that. Also for day energy, time energy. The day of the week, or so today's the 17th, which is why I'm making this video today. It's showing you a little bit about the time energy. What is to be aware of and how to use this energy to your advantage. So think in long term. Make sure your actions are aligned with long-term strategy, long-term mentality, something that's going to stand the test of time. Cultivate understanding before taking the action. And integrate this understanding into your being. And as a day for you, you can become, acquire a lot of power, accumulate a lot of positive memory, which is the 8. 8's memory and its accumulation. 8 likes to accumulate. Okay, so questions, comments, leave them underneath this video. As always, if you liked it, give it a thumbs up if you found it useful. If you'd like to get a reading or analysis with me, leave a comment on this video. Let's get in touch. Wishing the best. God bless.